At 9:12 every night, a brown bud drops into a white cup. The aroma arrives before the cup reaches the table. It smells deliberate, almost medicinal. But the next reading does not come with an explanation attached. Two people can repeat what they call the same nightly ritual and see patterns that do not match. One assumes the cup helped, the other assumes it failed. Both are trying to solve a question the color of the drink cannot answer. Why? My name is Robert. At 83, I still bring my trash bin back from the curb, manage the sloped part of my driveway, and put groceries away without arranging the day around somebody else's hands. I do not credit a spice for that. I credit paying attention, keeping medical appointments, and questioning routines that promise more than they can show. I understand the appeal of one quiet action after dinner. No chart, no complicated preparation, just a warm cup and the feeling that something useful has been done before bed. Then the pattern remains uncertain. The next evening, the cup becomes darker. The night after that, the spoon stays in the cup longer. Strength becomes the only variable anyone can see. That is the failed attempt, using taste and intensity to measure an event happening in the bloodstream. After dinner, glucose is already part of a system in motion. A later reading reflects more than the last aroma that reached your nose. One cup may matter, but its appearance cannot reveal what role it played. Think of the reading as the total at the bottom of a receipt. The cup is one line, but the total cannot explain that line by itself. The body is not a cash register, and a lone reading cannot assign responsibility. The image only shows why stronger taste is not an answer. Something important has disappeared inside the phrase, "take cloves every night." Until that missing information is restored, nobody can honestly predict what the ritual will do. Salad on the plate, pills on the counter, and the meter is still higher than you expected. If that feels familiar, even after cutting sugar and following your doctor's plan, pay attention. It does not mean you failed. Blood sugar is not a single switch controlled by one food. It is a 24-hour system shaped by your meals, movement, sleep, stress, medication, and the way your body responds to insulin. When that system remains under pressure, the effects can appear far beyond the meter in your energy, your eyes, your kidneys, and your nerves. Stay with me, because one overlooked piece is about to make the rest of this video click. And if you want to see how daily blood sugar support can fit alongside healthy habits and your doctor's plan, I placed a free presentation in the description below. The clock is not the variable that decides the outcome. What matters is the form you used, what entered the cup with it, what that ritual replaced, and the metabolic context in which it landed. Start with form. A culinary amount of whole or ground clove gives flavor in food. A standardized extract concentrates selected compounds in a controlled preparation. Essential oil is dramatically more concentrated and must not be treated as extra strong tea. Swallowing clove oil can cause serious poisoning. Large ingestions have been linked to low blood sugar, seizures, and acute liver and kidney injury. So if take cloves means drinking the oil, stop there. Do not improvise an oral dose. Keep essential oil out of the cup and away from children. There are 3 human signals worth understanding. In a 2006 conference report, 36 people with type 2 diabetes used capsules containing 0, 1, 2, or 3 grams of clove daily for 30 days. The clove groups showed lower serum glucose and several blood lipids, while the placebo group did not show the same pattern. A 2019 pilot gave 13 healthy or pre-diabetic volunteers 250 milligrams of a standardized, water-soluble clove polyphenol extract daily for 30 days. Researchers reported favorable changes in pre- and post-meal glucose. Then, in 2022, a randomized, double-blinded active comparator study followed 70 adults with metabolic syndrome for 84 days and reported improvements in fasting glucose, post-meal glucose, HbA1c, insulin, and a calculated measure of insulin resistance with another standardized clove polyphenol extract. Together, those studies make the direction promising rather than imaginary. They support the idea that clove compounds may contribute to healthier glucose metabolism when used consistently. But the preparations, populations, and study designs differed. 2 studies used branded, standardized extracts. The oldest report was a conference abstract with limited detail, and none tested 1 bedtime clove in a cup. So the evidence gives a nightly culinary ritual a plausible supporting role. It does not tell us what tomorrow morning's number will be, and it does not mean that a stronger cup works better. Now the second variable, substitution. If 1 mild, unsweetened clove infusion replaces a sweet drink or dessert, the routine has 2 plausible advantages. It removes added sugar and includes the culinary spice whose compounds have shown favorable signals in human research. We cannot assign a percentage to either contribution in a home kitchen. If the cup carries honey, syrup, or sweetened creamer, however, it may add carbohydrate at the very time you believed you were reducing it. Read that again in plain language. The cup does not inherit a health effect from its aroma. Its contents still count. The third variable is replacement. An unsweetened cup that takes the place of dessert creates a different evening from the same cup added beside dessert. That does not erase the clove's possible supporting role. It simply means the missing carbohydrate is another meaningful part of the result. The fourth variable is your metabolic context. Meal size, sleep, stress, illness, liver function, and medication can all influence readings. Insulin and some glucose-lowering drugs can also make an improvised supplement routine more complicated because low glucose matters as much as high glucose. Here's a practical 3-part stack. First, use cloves in a culinary amount as a supporting habit if they agree with you. Perhaps 1 whole bud steeped and removed from an unsweetened drink, or a small pinch in an appropriate food. I am deliberately not turning that into a therapeutic dose because the human studies used different preparations and did not establish 1 kitchen dose for bedtime. Second, decide what the cup is replacing before you prepare it. If the plan is to replace a sweet drink or dessert, keep it unsweetened. If you need a planned snack because of medication or your clinician's instructions, follow that plan. This is not a command to skip medically necessary food. Third, record the whole evening rather than judging the clove alone. Meal, drink ingredients, medication timing, symptoms, and readings taken according to your care plan. If your clinician says movement is safe, normal after-dinner activity may support the broader routine, but it is not the defining answer to this video, and it does not prove the clove caused a change. I know the objection. Robert, if the extract study found a change, why not just buy the strongest capsule? Because the human evidence is encouraging across clove powder and standardized extracts, but it still does not define the best culinary amount, timing, preparation, or long-term use for one individual. Supplements can vary, and anything that may affect glucose deserves extra caution when combined with insulin or glucose-lowering medication. The concern is not simply whether a supplement helps, it is that it may change your readings while your prescription keeps working. Clove compounds can also affect platelets in laboratory work. That does not prove normal culinary use causes bleeding, but concentrated products deserve caution if you use anticoagulant or antiplatelet medicine, have liver disease, are preparing for surgery, or have a history of bleeding. A pharmacist can review the actual bottle and your medication list. And do not use a clove ritual to explain away symptoms. Repeated very high or very low readings, confusion, fainting, vomiting, trouble breathing, chest pain, severe weakness, or signs of dehydration need prompt medical attention. Persistent thirst and nighttime urination deserve evaluation, not a stronger brew. These days, I can chop vegetables at my counter, wash the evening dishes, and read a few pages in my chair without turning the whole night into a negotiation with food. My routine is not dramatic. That is exactly why it lasts. It supports the life I want, while my clinician and my prescriptions remain part of the picture. Consider a plausible example, not a patient testimonial. A retired bus dispatcher named Frank sees a clove video and begins making tea every night. After a week, he thinks nothing has changed, so he adds more honey to soften the taste and orders clove oil. Then he pauses and writes down the full routine instead of judging the spice alone. Dinner at 7, sweet tea at 9, 2 hours in the recliner, and a glucose medication that can sometimes contribute to low readings. His safer next step is not to swallow the oil. It is to show the log and the bottle to his pharmacist, keep cloves at culinary strength, remove the unplanned sweetener if his care plan allows it, and ask what movement is safe for his knees. Notice what changed. Not a miracle number, not a clinical transformation. He stopped treating one brown bud as if it could overrule the entire evening. That is the answer to our 9 to 12 cup. If you use culinary cloves every night, you are building a habit with a plausible glucose-supporting basis. Human studies of clove powder and standardized extracts have moved several glucose markers in a favorable direction over weeks. The exact bedtime recipe has not been tested, so the next reading is not assured. Keep the cup culinary and unsweetened, let it complement the evening rather than carry the whole burden, and keep treatment and monitoring inside the picture. The goal is not to make the cup stronger, it is to make the routine clearer. At 83, that clarity gives me something more valuable than the thrill of a new remedy. It lets me sit down at night knowing what each part of my routine is for, and knowing that no single spice gets to carry the weight of my independence. Now you can see why focusing on one food, one habit, or one number may still leave part of the problem untouched. Blood sugar is influenced by a system that keeps working all day and all night. So lasting support is not about one miracle ingredient. It is about supporting the whole picture. And now you have a choice. You can leave with another interesting tip, or use what you have learned to build a more complete daily routine. Because the real goal is not to fear every meal or constantly worry about the meter. It is to feel confident in your routine, protect your independence, and keep living life on your own terms. If you want to discover the additional daily support approach I use alongside healthy habits and medical care, watch the free presentation in the description below. It reveals an overlooked gap that many routines may leave behind, and a broader strategy designed to support it. Watch it now while this connection is fresh. This supports your routine. It does not replace your doctor or medical treatment. In the comments, describe what your evening clove routine actually contains. Plain water, sweetener, food, a supplement, or oil. Subscribe for clear, research-aware ways to build blood sugar habits after 60 without turning one ingredient into a miracle.